and welcome to the West Asia Post. I am Molly Gambhir, getting you the latest from the world's most volatile region. The world is watching one of the greatest humanitarian crises unfold in the Gaza Strip. Voices against Israel's operations in the Palestinian enclave are only growing louder. All of this happening at a time when US President Donald Trump made a visit to the region. Before we delve into all of this, here's a quick look at what else is making headlines in the region. Golden swords, Arabian horses and royal palaces, Gulf nations have left no stone unturned to welcome US President Donald Trump. We now get you the key highlights of that visit. Take a look.
That incredible introduction. He's an incredible man. Known him a long time now. There's nobody like him. Because as you know, we won 3 elections, okay? And some people want us to do a 4th. I don't know, we'll have to think about that. You saw the new hat, the hottest hat is, it says, Trump 2028, we're driving the left crazy, we see that.
Right, I think very good. Young, attractive guy, tough guy. You know, strong pass, very strong pass fighter.
Does that worry you at all?
He's got a real shot at pulling it together.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Your Highness. What a lot of people don't know, I think my staff is very surprised by it. You and I have been friends for a long time.
US President Donald Trump's tour to the region has been one of the most closely watched events in the world. After all, he cracked lucrative deals ranging from the fields of AI and tech to defense and airways, with the total cost estimated to be at least $10 trillion. We break it all down for you in our next report.
Gulf nations did not fall short of grandeur in their hosting of 45th and 47th President of the United States. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman broke royal protocol by personally greeting the president on the tarmac. Washington and Riyadh inked a defense deal worth $142 billion, which is a part of a larger $600 billion economic partnership between the two nations. This is one of US's largest defense deals, covering air and missile defense, space capabilities, naval and coastal security, and military modernization.
And with this trip, we're adding over $1 trillion more in terms of investment into our country and buying our products. And, you know, nobody makes military equipment like us. We have the best military equipment, the best missiles, the best rockets, the best everything. Best submarines, by the way.
Saudi is also committed to a $20 billion package with data infrastructure giant DataVault to build AI data centers and energy facilities across the United States. A further $80 billion in joint investments will be made by US tech majors, including Google, Oracle, Salesforce, AMD, and Uber, aimed at advancing next-generation technologies in both countries. In the UAE, Trump and Emirati leader Mohammed bin Zayed lauded their personal friendship and the more than 50-year-old alliance between their nations. White House said the two countries also agreed to establish a US-UAE AI acceleration partnership framework, and Trump and Sheikh Mohammed attended the unveiling of a new 5GW AI campus, which would be the largest outside the United States.
Yesterday, the two countries also agreed to create a path for UAE to buy some of the world's most advanced AI semiconductors from American companies, a very big contract. This will generate billions and billions of dollars in business and accelerate the UAE's plans to become a really major player in artificial intelligence.
A White House fact sheet said Trump had secured $200 billion in the new US-UAE deals and accelerated the previously committed $1.4 trillion. Trump's visit was the first by an American president to the UAE since George W. Bush visited the Sheikhdom in 2008. Before visiting the UAE, Trump addressed US troops at the Al Udeid Air Base southwest of Doha that defense purchases signed by Qatar were worth $42 billion. Qatar Airways also signed a $200 billion deal for 160 Boeing jets.
From Boeing, that's the largest order of jets in the history of Boeing. That's pretty good. And that's 140. Was that a 140 or 160? Well, yeah, but you're right. It's actually 200, including the 40, so it's over $200 billion. But 160 in terms of the jets, that's fantastic.
The message is loud and clear. Gulf nations want to be first in line when it comes to partnering with the US, whether it be for business, military, or technology.
And Donald Trump's meeting with Syria's President Ahmed al-Sharaa has been extremely significant. The US has decided to lift its crippling sanctions on Syria and refresh ties with Damascus. In our next report, we focus on what lies ahead and what's next for Syria. The most momentous interaction that US President Donald Trump had in Saudi Arabia turned out to be his meeting with Syria's interim president, Ahmed al-Sharaa. On Tuesday, the US president said that he is wiping the slate clean for Syria by lifting sanctions on the country.
I am also ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria to give them a fresh start. It gives them a chance for greatness. The sanctions were really crippling, very powerful. And I spoke to Mohammed, and I spoke to our friend from Turkey, who we just spoke to also by phone now. but felt very strongly that this would give them a chance. It's not going to be easy anyway, so it gives them a good, strong chance. And it was my honor to do so.
The Syrian leader called the US president's decision historic and courageous.
President Trump thankfully responded to this love. The decision to lift the sanctions was a historic, courageous decision that alleviated the suffering of the people, helped in the Renaissance, and laid the foundations for stability in the region.
The meeting between the two leaders was a first in 25 years. Till very recently, Ahmad al-Sharaa, also known as Asabu Muhammad al-Jolani, was a UN-proscribed and US-designated terrorist. The UN Security Council Sanctions Committee had also found al-Sharaa guilty of supplying, selling or transferring arms as well as recruiting for Al-Qaeda and the ISIS. Sharaa rewrote the power dynamics in Syria after leading the campaign to end 50 years of the Assad family's ruling in the country. According to the US Department of State, sanctions were imposed on Syria and the Assad regime in 1979 after the country was designated a state sponsor of terrorism for providing political and military support to various terrorist groups. US now says that under Ahmad al-Sharaa, it wants the war-torn country to have a chance at peace. For Syrians, the decision marks a new beginning and the end of their isolation from the West.
Lifting the sanctions will have a positive impact because, as you mentioned, we've been isolated from everything. When it comes to softwares, all of the programs we have are not original and are cracked. Other than that, we will have the ability to access services like electronic payments, online shopping, and to get new products.
Removing US sanctions that cut off Syria from the global financial system will allow greater engagement by humanitarian organizations working in Syria, ease foreign investment and trade as the country rebuilds. The Syrian leader, who denounced his ties from Al-Qaeda, promises that he won't allow the division of his country.
Syria will no longer be an arena for the struggle for influence, nor a platform for foreign ambitions. We will not allow the division of Syria, and we will not make room for reviving the narratives of the former regime to fragment our people. Syria is for all Syrians, with all their sects and ethnicities, and for everyone who lives on this blessed land. Coexistence is our heritage throughout history, and the divisions that tore us apart were always due to foreign interventions, and today we reject them all.
These are promising signs for a new Syria. But only time will tell if Damascus manages to secure its borders by mending ties with Israel, or even if unity translates into equal rights for everyone in the most ethnically diverse country of West Asia. From unprecedented protests to the truce with the PKK group, a lot is happening in Turkey. This week, the Kurdistan Workers' Party finally announced PKK disarmament. And in our next report, we tell you how this process will shape up and whether this truce applies to PKK groups in Iraq and Syria.
The PKK Kurdish militant group promised to put an end to one of the longest insurgencies in West Asia. On Monday, the PKK announced it was disarming itself, ending a 4-decade-long armed conflict with Turkiye.
The PKK was an organization that put itself forward for the socialization of Kurdish people for 50 years. If the social and democratic rights granted to these Kurds in the Republic of Turkey are given, it is natural for the PKK to be disbanded. I think it will be better for our country.
Days after the Kurdistan Workers' Party convened a party congress in northern Iraq, the PKK announced it would dissolve its organizational structure and put an end to its armed struggle. The Turkish president says the PKK's disarmament would usher in a new era for democratic politics.
We evaluate this statement by the PKK as a decision that covers all the extensions of the organization, especially in Syria and Europe, along with northern Iraq. With the complete disengagement of terrorism and violence, the doors of a new era in all aspects, especially regarding the strengthening of the democratic capacity of politics, will be opened.
In February, jailed PKK leader Abdullah Öcalan, who's been imprisoned since 1999, urged his group to convene a congress and formally decide to disband. On the 1st of March, PKK announced a unilateral ceasefire, but attached conditions to it. PKK wanted a legal framework for peace negotiations. While Ankara welcomed the decision to dissolve, it does not guarantee peace. Previous peace efforts between Turkiye and the group, most recently in 2015, have ended with failure. Over the years, conflict between Turkiye and PKK spilled over into northern Iraq and northern Syria. The conflict has killed more than 40,000 people, exerted a huge economic burden, and fueled social tensions. Syria's new government called the PKK's disarmament a pivotal moment and one that ensures regional stability.
On behalf of the Syrian Arab Republic, we congratulate the Turkish government and its people on their recent agreement with the Kurdistan Workers' Party PKK. This step marks a pivotal moment not only for Turkey's internal security, but also for the stability of our whole region.
However, the Kurds living in Syria are skeptical of the current situation. Turkiye regards YPG militia in Syria as a PKK affiliate. Currently, the YPG leads a US allied force against the Islamic State in Syria. YPG considers itself an independent group and does not regard Öcalan's call as its own.
The part that concerns the Kurds in Syria is that we know that during the period of the Syrian crisis, the objections and attacks that came to the autonomous administration in Syria were always from Turkey specifically.
Details of the peace initiative have not been made public. The future of PKK fighters remains uncertain, including whether they may be relocated to third countries. Any concessions the PKK might obtain in exchange for its decision to disband have not been disclosed. It is unclear how weapons would be disposed of and who would monitor the procedures. Many believe the main aim of the reconciliation effort is for Erdogan's government to garner Kurdish support for a new constitution that would allow him to remain in power when his term ends in 2028.
For the last 70 days, no form of aid has entered the Gaza Strip. Aid agencies say Israel is using aid as a weapon of extermination. The UN says the population of over 2 million Palestinians is at risk of famine. Israel denies this. We're getting you all the details in this report.
Israel has renewed its most fierce operations in Gaza. Since mid-March, the Israeli military has imposed complete blockade in the Palestinian enclave. It has prevented food, medication and other aid from entering Gaza for 70 days, saying it is putting pressure on Hamas to release its remaining hostages. UN-backed assessment says Gaza's population of over 2 million Palestinians is at critical risk of famine and faces extreme levels of food insecurity. Charity kitchens, which have helped hundreds of thousands of Gazans, are shutting as food supplies run out. 25 bakeries supported by the World Food Programme have been forced close. The IPC, a global initiative by UN agencies, 8 groups released a report stating 93% of Gaza's population are living through high levels of acute food insecurity, including over 200,000 experiencing catastrophic levels.
Israel is deliberately and unashamedly imposing inhumane conditions on civilians in the occupied Palestinian territory. For more than 10 weeks, nothing has entered Gaza, no food, medicine, water, or tents.
However, Israel's foreign minister denied the UN report, saying there is no famine in Gaza.
There is no famine in Gaza Strip. It is simply not true. Speaking about today, this is the current situation, and we are monitoring the situation all the time to see whether something must be changed or not.
8 agencies, including the Human Rights Watch, have raised alarm over Israel's Gaza policy, saying Israel's blockade has transcended military tactics to become a tool of extermination. World leaders' criticism of Israeli raids have grown stronger with time.
It is a request that I renew today in the face of a humanitarian situation in Gaza that I have no difficulty in defining as increasingly dramatic and unjustifiable.
Israel has now fully blocked aid entering Gaza for over 2 months. Blocking aid as a pressure lever is unacceptable. And last week, the Israeli Security Cabinet approved plans to expand its military operations in Gaza. We strongly oppose both these actions.
Israeli officials have said the plans for the expanded offensive include seizing of all the territory indefinitely, forcibly displacing Palestinians to the south, and taking over aid distribution with private companies despite opposition from the United Nations and its humanitarian partners. Israel aims to destroy Hamas in its war that has been going on for 19 months in the context of growing hunger, breakdown and bloodshed.
In the world of social media and e-books, there are traditions that West Asia still follows. It's that time of the year again when book lovers from across Iran flock to the Tehran International Book Fair. Our next report telling you more about Iran's book festival.
Love and passion resulting from touching physical books is something different. Sure, online platforms and audiobooks have their own appeal, but I don't think they can ever really replace the feeling of holding a book in your hands and experiencing that joy. That's why I came here in person.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the West Asia Post. Thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
U.S Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to U.S Health Resort. Make your reservation at yo1.com.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
जब देश एकजुट होता है, नेशन फर्स्ट की भावना से भरा होता है, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि होता है, तो फौलादी फैसले लिए।
How our air defense systems have thwarted the enemy drones, their fighter aircraft, their missiles. We achieved total surprise, and those strikes across those 9 terror hubs left more than 100 terrorists killed.
टेरर और टॉक एक साथ नहीं हो सकते।
As summer season officially kicks off, we tell you all about the big summer releases. Meet Indian actor Babil Khan as he talks about Bollywood and life.
Hello, Frat Maniacs! मैं हूँ तुम्हारा Frat Man.
And find out why cargo pants are back in trend. All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Race to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh. And on the show today, Donald Trump's whirlwind tour of West Asia has seen announcements of billions and billions of dollars of weapon sales to Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates and Qatar. But interestingly, the Democrats are now looking to block the sale of arms to the UAE. And in Europe, Romania, Poland and Portugal are gearing up for the Super Sunday election. So what are the issues that the people of these nations will be voting for in these elections? We'll get you all the details. But let's of course start with this big story that's come in from the United States, where the American Secret Service and the Department of Homeland Security is carrying out investigations against the former FBI chief, James Comey, over a pretty cryptic Instagram post. Now, this post by Comey has been interpreted as an assassination threat to the sitting incumbent president, Donald Trump. Now, this is the picture that Comey put out on his Instagram. 8647 spelled out in shells. Now, what is interesting is this. Now, 86 is said to be some kind of an American slang that means to throw out or to get rid of.